As someone once said, beer makes you feel the way you ought to feel without beer. For me, beer is not some drink that I get drunk with, but rather is the very process of making it that makes it an art form. I make it not to abuse it, but to know it. Beer is the world's most widely consumed and probably the oldest of alcoholic beverages. It is the third most popular drink overall after water and tea. To make beer, 4 things are the most essential. They are barley, hops, water and yeast. Hops are the bittering agent used in beer, and also a lot of people do not know this, but hops is related to cannabis. The stuff you smoke if you want to get really high. A majority of beer is water. My journey starts and ends with beer. We all know how expensive alcohol in Singapore is. The government tax on alcohol and all that nonsense. So when I went to England for my cousin's wedding, beer there is really cheap. So last November my dad was watching TV when he called me out. He asked me to watch some program about brewing beer at home. And that show really got me interested in brewing. I did some research and found out that it's cheaper to make beer at home. I also researched the legality of it and found out that brewing at home is perfectly legal, as long as you do not sell it or make more than 30 liters a month. So it's legal, okay, that's good, I thought to myself. Next step was getting all the equipment. I found out that there was a shop dedicated to home brewing, and I gave the owner a call. The owner's name was Raymond, and Raymond is really nice. He told me all the steps and he also told me that he sold starter kits, which is a Cooper homebrew starter kits. This made it easier for first time brewers, so you do not have to run here and there to get all the different stuff and equipment. So I explained to my dad what I was going to do, and he just laughed it off. I told him I really am going to do it, and I also told my mum. That Sunday I went to the shop, which is located in Clementi, and I live in Pasir Ris, so I had to take the MRT all the way down, which is quite a long way. When I arrived at the shop, I was really surprised to find the starter kit was quite big. The starter kit included the hydrometer, the bottles, the yeast, etc. He then went on to explain the process of making beer. After I paid him, I went on my way. I then boarded the MRT train. So imagine a tall Indian guy like me holding a huge box on a train. Kinda makes your mind run wild. The train is quite crowded and people are staring at my box, and trust me, I was kind of embarrassed. Later on, my mum asked me if anyone she knew saw me with the box, and I just laughed it off. The moment I got home, I sanitized the equipment. Everything that touches the beer has to be sanitized, and I mean everything. The reason why a homebrew fails is most likely because of infection. You don't properly sanitize the equipment. Next is boiling the malt and dextrose, which is corn sugar. The starter kit reduces the steps that you're supposed to do, so it makes it easier for first timers. But subsequently, after a bit more experience, I'll start doing it all myself. Difficult steps like having to boil the hops for an hour and all that stuff. Next is mixing all the wort. Wort is the liquid that you get after mixing the ingredients. So I need to properly stir the wort to get it all mixed up and also to get oxygen inside, as the yeast needs oxygen to ferment. The thing with home brewing is the temperature. Temperature is the key to good tasting beer. If the temperature is too low, the yeast might not work at all. The temperature too high, the beer might taste funny. The best temperature for beer is between 21 to 27 degrees Celsius. But I decided to deviate a bit from the recipe. I added oranges inside. I wanted the orangey taste in the beer. So after adding the oranges, I checked the temperature, realized it was around 30 degrees Celsius. I went frantic. I thought to myself, the beer is destroyed. The temperature is too high. I had to do something. I told my little sister to stir while I go buy ice. So I ran to the shop, bought it, and on the way back, I called Raymond up. And he said it was not optimal, but it's acceptable. So it was kind of a waste buying ice. I went back home, I put the yeast in. I closed the lid of the fermenter to put the airlock. The airlock is a device that allows air, which is carbon dioxide, and is a byproduct of fermentation, to escape. Now, when yeast consumes the sugar up, the byproduct of fermentation is alcohol, carbon dioxide. So every day, to keep the temperature at least around 27 degrees, I had to put a wet cloth over it. During the fermentation, you can smell stuff coming out, all the wonderful stuff. So after 5 days of fermenting, I took the hydrometer test. The hydrometer tests the gravity of the wort and also to see if there's sugar in there. If the test is constant for a few days, then the sugar has been eaten up and the fermentation has stopped. So you can go ahead with secondary fermentation. Secondary fermentation is when, in my case, you bottle the wort into a bottle. So we add more sugar. For 2 more weeks, the wort will ferment more and will clear up, because at the moment the wort is really cloudy. And whatever sediments will settle in the bottom of the bottle. The thing with commercial beer is that breweries filter out the sediments, but home brewers do not filter out to give that little rustic thing. So when you carry the bottle around, you need to be careful not to get it all mixed up or get cloudy again. But some home brewers like the sediments below, as it gives a unique taste to the beer. Now, as I said, fermentation produces carbon dioxide, and in carbonated drinks you need carbon dioxide. When it came out of the primary fermentation, the beer was flat. So now, this is the smart part. When I put it in for secondary fermentation, the bottle is going to be airtight, and the carbon dioxide can't escape during fermentation. So the carbon dioxide goes back into the drink, and that's how beer gets carbonated. This is called natural carbonation. So after 2 weeks it was ready, but obviously who the hell is going to wait for 2 weeks? I was 2 days short of hitting the 2 week mark. I didn't care, I just want to try it out. I came back from school, chilled the glass, opened it. The most amazing sound came out. The sound of the bottle being opened. The smell was beautiful and I tasted it. Oh, it was the best beer in the world. And the best part is I made it myself. So cheers to beer, the best drink in the world.